Well, Betty, if you can hear me, the ANC has been widely criticized on the handling of President Jacob Zuma's exit by allowing Zuma himself to decide when and how. Isn't that a reasonable request?
I don't think they have allowed him to choose the time. They have been following due process, because in everything you're doing, you must worry about the process so that there are no loopholes that can be used against you and against the process that you're doing. So they've been following due process. Remember, the opposition party members had brought up a motion of no confidence, which was scheduled for the 22nd. And later on, in order to give time to see how the ANC will handle this issue. And the ANC had a lot of meetings and meetings postponed till they got to the point where they now decided to recall the president, and they expected a response from him. They gave him time and no time, but they expected a response from him today. But instead of that response, the president gave that interview to the SABC, that's the state broadcaster, and then said he will give his statement much later. So the party has now decided to go with that motion of no confidence by the EFF, which has now been brought forward as the EFF requested, but they said there will be an amendment on their own terms. They haven't agreed to the president's terms.
Okay.
They're doing things by the book.
Betty, about this morning, heavily armed South African police raiding the home of the Gupta family. Is this in any way putting pressure on President Zuma?
The process is to tackle with the issues regarding the Gupta family is different and is still related to the president and his son, because they're his associates and they're business partners to his son. So the raid today had to do with a recent report that was released by the public protector regarding a corruption issue regarding a farm project where they said money was channeled. Money meant for poor black farmers was channeled to companies that are affiliated to the Gupta family. So the Hawks is investigating that, among other things, and the issue of the state capture, which the Deputy Chief Justice of the nation is at the head of that inquiry that the President commissioned recently. So these are related things to the president, but it's not putting pressure. The process of getting the president out of office is going on, and we have been told that he will be removed tomorrow, whether he resigns or not.
Many thanks, Betty, our South Africa Bureau Chief, for joining us on the program. Kenya's Attorney General and Chief Legal Advisor to the government, Githu Muigai, has resigned. In a post on his Twitter feed, Kenyatta said he had accepted Muigai's resignation as Attorney General. Muigai was appointed as part of reforms to boost confidence in Kenya's judiciary after a new constitution was enacted in 2010. In December, Muigai said an attempt by veteran opposition leader Raila Odinga to swear himself in as president was treasonable. Kenyatta and the judiciary clashed publicly last September after the Supreme Court nullified his initial election on August the 8th and ordered a rerun. Odinga boycotted the repeat vote, which Kenyatta won before he was sworn in for a second term. Kenyatta has since nominated Paul Kihara Karoiki, the president of the Court of Appeal, as Muigai's replacement, but Kihara will have to be vetted by Parliament before taking office. Well, joining us in the studio right now to take a look at the affairs in Kenya is Okuyo Pala, an African affairs analyst. Thank you for joining us in Network Africa.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, we have Kenyatta's Attorney General who has resigned without any explanations for his actions. Are we allowed to speculate? What do you make?
Well, one would imagine whether he was pushed or he had to jump. But I think it could be either, because recently he has been having a lot of issues with the law enforcement. You know, first, in the 2014 Act, Security Act, that it was condemned all over the world. I mean, the European Union, the international donors, and also they blamed him also for part of the issue that led to the electoral law that is drafted that led to the election that was annulled by the Supreme Court. So I think for having stayed 6.5 years, I mean, and he had been to be with Uhuru Kenyatta. He defended him in the International Court of Criminal Court of Justice. And after now, it's beginning to become a liability. And I can imagine that probably he may have been asked to give way so that there will be a new beginning.
How much do you think this would impact the judiciary in Kenya?
I think it will actually, in as much as he has done a lot. He has done a lot because, I mean, after the 2010 constitutional amendment was adopted, constitution was adopted, and he has done a lot to ensure the judiciary in Kenya is strong. But over time, for some time now, I mean, he has been taking a lot of missteps. And I think it is needed, especially with the conflict that is, especially the conflict after post-election conflicts that is there. There is need for a new face. There's a need for a reconciler. There's a need for somebody that can command confidence both from the opposition and from the government. And he, having been so much part of the problem, I should give way so there be.
And we hear that Paul Kiraka Kuriki has been nominated. Do we think that Parliament will swear him in?
I think so. I don't see, it won't have much problem. He's an appeal court judge and he's an erudite jurist. I mean, he has done a lot for development of law in Kenya. And I think he's a good candidate for that position. Nevertheless, I mean, we never know where politics will go, especially when the parliament is completely political charged. But I think he will succeed eventually.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Okwe-Okpala, our Africa Affairs analyst, for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much. You're welcome.
And still to come on Network Africa, Ugandan confectioner gets in the mood for Valentine, lures customers with customized chocolates.